Broads Media.
Oh, far pad, baby. Far pad. I love myself some far pad. What a shot by Cootsie. What a berry by Cam Atkinson. Before we talk about it, if you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. And if you're looking to buy tickets to the Flyers on Saturday or Thursday this week, or any Flyers game, any Sixers game, any Eagles game, go to SeatGeek, use promo code BROADS, get $20 off. It's that simple. It's a no-brainer. You're eliminating all those garbage fees right from the jump. Promo code BROADS. Get yourself to a game. But that said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. What an electric night at the Wells Fargo Center tonight. Beautiful win, great effort, back and forth action. Johnny Gaudreau, the homecoming here in South Philadelphia, he was throwing shots on Carter Hart all throughout the night. He, of course, had to record an apple. Why wouldn't he? But the Flyers got revenge, and that's the most important part. And I thought it was hysterical because when the Flyers lost to the Dallas Stars on Saturday night, there was this reaction that, oh, the Flyers are awful, they are pathetic. What are we talking about here? It was a second half of a back-to-back. It was their third game in 4 nights, third different city, while the Dallas Stars were rested. And I hate to break it to you, no matter how many regulation wins the Stars had to that point, they were eventually going to grab a win. They are better than what their record dictates, I believe, personally. Not that they're some outstanding squad, but I thought they got a taste of their own medicine, where in Carolina, Carter Hart stole the show. Well, in Dallas, they had their netminder, Hudobin's out there stealing the show. Sometimes that happens early on. The Flyers couldn't cash in, and from there it somewhat snowballed out of control. Kevin Hayes at that point was just getting back into it, and Ryan Ellis returned. Now, unfortunately, we got some disappointing news that Ryan Ellis hits the IR, and that's bad. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat things. There's no way to hide around. This is very frustrating and disappointing that your number one defenseman, your biggest acquisition, is not going to be available for you for quite some time, and there's a huge correlation between that and the disastrous power play we continue to see. 5-on-3, what are we doing? Sean Couturier's turning the puck over where he could have had a quick turnaround, a 4-on-2, and took advantage, but they didn't. Instead, the puck leaves the zone. I cannot stand watching the Flyers get a man advantage, and then instantly there's a 2-on-1 the other way, and Carter Hart has to make not one save, but 2 major saves. I mean, look, the kid's standing on his head, and he's sensational, and he's showing you, fuck you last year, okay? That's not who I am. And I mean, he's even playing better than what I would have expected him. I knew that there would be a bounce back, no doubt. There was zero concern in my mind. Like, I knew he was strong. I knew that he was a great netminder, but he's kind of put it together way quicker than I would have anticipated. I mean, he's just structured, he's poised, and he's making great saves. Look, the goal tonight that goes in on him, guess what happens? It hits off Sean Couturier and goes in and gets by him. That's the style of pucks on net that has to happen right now for you to get by Carter Hart. Throw a puck on net off the wall. Johnny Gaudreau passes it up the wall. And it all started with Ivan Provorov, who turned the puck over in the neutral zone. That even allowed the Flames to establish some offensive zone presence. And then they used the wall, one-touch it, I should say. It wasn't really like a one-time clap bomb. It was sort of just like a one-touch, let me put it on net. And when you get Sean Couturier sitting there, it hits off of him and goes in. But, look, I thought that this game was chippy, extremely chippy, whether it's Tkachuk or Ristolainen throwing the body, the fans getting pumped along the wall in the defensive zone, or hell, in the offensive zone. He's even throwing the body up by the blue line as well. I think Ristolainen is really getting comfortable. Travis Sanheim, he's driving the net, which McEwen ends up getting a pass. I believe it was JVR to McEwen over by the left side of the wall. He throws one on net. McEwen, I mean, he stood out to me multiple times. He almost had a wraparound. He's sitting in front of the blue paint. I'm loving the kid. And even early, I have here on my notes, in the first period, he started things off by getting underneath the goal line. He's hitting Markstrom behind the net, which is just comical to me. And, here's Patrick Brown generating some offense because of it. McEwen, I keep noticing. Now, unfortunately for Patrick Brown, he gets injured. He gets banged up. I'm seeing JVR out there on the fourth line. I'm seeing Scott Lawton out there on the fourth line. There were a lot of different players kind of maneuvering around and switching things up. At one point, Kevin Hayes left the game because he got tripped, and you could see that he was in some discomfort, but he came back out in the third period. And how about that goal? The fact that he nets one and he points right up to the sky. Goosebumps throughout the entire building, and I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. Awesome. He tried to thread the needle and tried to make a pass that wasn't really warranted. The puck came right back to him as Markstrom was sliding over for the initial pass. He put it into an empty net to tie the hockey game up. That was in the second period. I thought there were times throughout the night, this team, the Flyers that is, were trying to make that extra pass where, like, let's shoot, right? Claude Giroux, end of regulation. It's 1-1. He throws up a fake clap bomb. He clearly has Markstrom beat, and then he tries to pass it through the middle of the slot and try to pass it over. Like, what are we doing here? That should have been a spot where you scored, damn it. I love G. What am I doing here? I also love that play where he put it in between his legs. He cuts through the crease and tries to go 5-hole tuck. Wasn't able to accomplish the goal, but all Swedish, no finish out of the captain in that one. Joel Farabee's line at one point was trying to pass the puck too much, like, let's go, right? We talk about this team, their lack of scoring, where you're not in the spot right now to just take scoring chances away to try and get cute and fancy. Let's keep peppering. Let's keep going. But my point I'm trying to stress here that I keep getting sidetracked from, this was a very intense physical game. They whooped your ass in Calgary when you were out on the West Coast swing to end that 3-game trip. You won the first 2 games. You got your asses handed to you in Calgary. You know, you kind of have that response. It was a tough game. You know, there were some bells that you had to answer. They were ringing the bell a little bit here, and you had to answer those bells. Does that even make sense? I have no idea. I think you understand what I'm trying to say, though. Short-handed, you don't have Ellis to start, but then you lose Brown, and then Hayes is a little bit injured. He got tripped like 3 times, and there were no calls on that. I thought that was a little bit absurd, but at the end of the day, you know, the Flyers win in overtime. Here you go, Farpad, the best play in hockey, damn it. And I tweeted that out, too. I'm like, there's nothing better than Farpad, Cam Atkinson, GWG, and all the goalies I played with throughout my life is either tweeting at me and said, I can confirm, Broads loves a nice Farpad, or they texted me, you're damn right, that's their sweet play. I think my buddy I played in college with tweeted and said, I can confirm that Broads loves a Farpad, and then my buddy I played juniors with said, that overtime goal was just beautiful. That's what it's all about. I'd be on a breakaway. I'm looking Farpad. I loved that third, though, while Carter Hart made some really nice saves. There was a great tip attempt, and that was from, Johnny Gaudreau on a wraparound, which is bread and butter. He scores on that all the time as he's flying through the offensive zone, and he's trying to wrap it around the far post there. He made a save there. It was Backlund, redirect in front of the net. Carter Hart, huge, but I also thought the Flyers counter. JVR on a 2-on-1, cranked one off the iron. Even early, I mean, the first period, I thought the Flyers, it was Sean Couturier on that weak side. The puck banked off the boards, and he probably could have tucked it near the far post a little bit closer to the post. Instead, he almost put it back into Markstrom's pad, but he should have been able to bury there, and Travis Konechny had a chance right before that as well. That should have when he was robbed backdoor. Ended up resulting in a power play for the Flyers. But, I mean, at this point, I don't want power plays anymore because they are a dumpster fire with the man advantage. And it is putrid. It is awful. It is terrible. Very rarely were there times where I was like, okay, all right. You know, like, hey, a nice shot here and there. Like, no, not really. Early on, Kevin Hayes is trying to force a pass on the power play. It ends up getting picked off. Dump it out of the zone. Odd man rushes, 2-on-1s. It's unacceptable. It really, really is. So that has to change. That's the difference in winning and losing hockey games. It's going to cost you if you can't figure this out. You can't live and survive with this. That's when you put away teams. So please, let's focus here. And Ryan Ellis, yeah, I get it. That's major. It really is. That's a tough loss for your power play and your special teams in general. There should be enough on your roster, though, where it looks like pee-wees and squirt hockey with a U12 team that are trying to run the basic fundamentals of a damn overload or a damn umbrella. I mean, come on now. Now, there's some things I got to point out that happened before the game. The Rick Tocchet, Paul Holmgren ceremony, what a disgrace that was. There was nobody there. There was literally nobody there. Now, it started at 6 o'clock, or was it 6:30? It started before the game, and I guess my point is I think the Flyers did a horrendous job at promoting it, and then I also think nobody cares, and I've been stressing this forever. Back when I was younger, when I was watching the highlights, or when I was watching, I didn't really watch because there was nowhere to watch it, but when you saw all of the people that were covering that alumni game, Simone Gagne, right, and all these people that played, there was a nostalgic feel. Eric Lindros, John LeClaire, right? These guys out there, Mike Newell, right? Here's Mike Newell out there getting hit in the damn face, and his face starts bleeding. Come on, Knuble out there just mucking and grinding, getting hit in the face at 50 years old. All this stuff, it brings back this nostalgic feel where Flyers hockey was so damn impactful to the city and there was more love. And I always go back to the fact that it's so corporate now and it's so big business now that we lost the connection with that heart and that grittiness that we had as a city. It's just not there. But it's like the lack of the fans caring and the lack of the Flyers putting it together the right, proper way and applying it. The execution was so damn I was embarrassed. Sitting there. Here's Rick Tocchet giving a great speech and talking about the fans. There's 9 people there. 9 people. Come on. And then another thing, some housekeeping stuff that we're 11 minutes in housekeeping. Oscar Lindblom getting healthy scratch. He was a health bomb. I'm okay with it. I support it. He was not good. He was out on the ice way too much for those Dallas goals. I'm not saying everything's his fault, but I even alluded to, there was that night where it was the Toronto game. And after the game, AV's praising Oscar, saying if he continues to play this way, he'll be just fine. And then he rewarded him by moving him up. I don't know if he was technically rewarding Oscar, or if he was just trying to get a shake-up of the lines in general, just to try and get some new contribution and some new life, seeing if something sparks. He goes, yeah, Oscar, if he keeps playing this way, I swear he'll be able to pop one eventually. And he was a major reason why the first goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs even happened with William Nylander. You're just disregarding the huge turnover along the wall that generated Austin Matthews and Muzzin entering the zone. And then he got beat up ice. And then in Dallas, he gets annihilated because he's out there too damn much for goals against. I hate speaking so negatively about him because the kid went through hell. And I'm here to support how he went about it and beat it and attacked it. And he's here playing in the NHL after all of that. Wow, that's sensational. That's insane. It really is. And I give him so much love. I love the kid. But, he's not contributing the way we need him to. And it's a results-based business. Now, you can make the argument that AV put him in a position to fail. Was he ever going to succeed with the fourth liners of Nate Thompson and all after being on the third line with JVR and Scott Laughton that actually generated some nice buzz? Then he moves up and plays with the second line. It's like, okay, and now you're throwing him on the fourth, and then it's like, hey, what did you expect him to do? That's not really his role. That's fair, but what is his role? Is he a third line guy? Probably. I don't like him as a top 6. I don't feel like that's his best suit, and I don't like him on the fourth line. So, yeah, somewhere in that third line's probably it. But I could live with him outside of the lineup right now. And maybe it's just something where he has to hit the reset button and he gets thrown back in and he ends up, producing or, having some sort of energy shift. Like, I'm rooting for the kid. 1,000% I am. But I always question him more than most. I've always thought that Flyers fans and the Flyers as a whole saw more in him than I did. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm okay with admitting that it's possible that I'm wrong and they're right. But to be fair, outside of that one season, look, that's just why it's tough. It's tough. He's been through so much. But I'm just saying, that one season really surprised me. I never saw that coming in a million years, and I just don't think that that's who he is consistently. And the Flyers have the expectations that that's who he is consistently. I just thought it was more of like one of those nice seasons more than it is, hey, that's Oscar Lindblom. And that's without the cancer treatment and everything that he went through with that battle. And I've mentioned that before. I did. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there. Second period, I thought that there was some life in the building. Ivan Provorov jumps right into the rush, and he gets a good shot on net to start the second. A big sense of urgency, but then Scott Laughton gets a penalty for cross-check, and he's in the box. But then he leaves the box, and he gets taken down on a breakaway, and now he gets a penalty shot. I didn't love the move. He tried to freeze Markstrom a little bit. Markstrom did not bite whatsoever, so then Laughton moves to his left. Two-pad stack, goes a little old school on you, throws the two-pad stack. Never really had a chance. It's not like I hated it or despised it or didn't see what he was trying to do. I saw what he was trying to do. I did. It's just Markstrom played it very well and kind of had that counter and did not bite on the little hesitation before he went to the left. So that was a spot to try and get a bingo here, but right after that, the Flyers end up tying it with Kevin Hayes' goal. I thought that there was some flow. They created turnovers. They were more aggressive. They were stopping at the blue paint. They were getting into the crease. They were causing havoc, and the Flames were taking account to it, and that kind of plays to their strengths. I'm not going to act as if everyone in the world, but they got Lucic, right? He's not afraid to be physical, and they have Matthew Tkachuk, who's not afraid to chirp, and once he gets caught for some penalties, he's trying to get your attention and get you right back into the box with it so it could be a coincidental, but instead it's the Flyers were keeping their cool. Hey, Tkachuk, you go to the box. I thought there was the horrendous call there where JVR of all people, is trying to drop the mitts. The refs don't allow it. They throw JVR in the box solo. And he was going with, because I was trying to see who exactly it was that he was trying to go with there. Oh, Coleman, that's right. I even put it here. All right, James. All right, James. Didn't see that coming. Luckily for the Flyers, their PK was able to come up big to start that third period, and the Flyers were, able to kind of escape that call. There were some weird ones. The referees were getting annihilated by the fans all night long. As I alluded to before, Kevin Hayes got hit a few times, and the fans were not happy about it. Tripped a couple of times. It was ridiculous. Plenty of chances both ways, though, that's for sure. At the end of the day, both teams have plenty of chances on the paper to kind of put things away or to take a lead, and they weren't able to. And Carter Hart was ridiculous again. Carter Hart is so damn strong once again. He's got all the confidence in the world. He's got the defenseman in front of him. Justin Braun saw a few stick-on pucks, some good bodies out there. Ristolainen playing the body. I think Risto and Sanheim are figuring out their groove, which is fun. The analytical world that hated Ristolainen, early they had a case. The first couple of games they had a case. They don't have a case anymore. There's numbers that tell you the fourth line's the worst fourth line in hockey. Your sister's ass. Because that's not the truth. This fourth line is buzzing at time. I'm watching McEwen buzz out there. Nate Thompson is a solidified fourth liner who knows his role. Now, that doesn't mean they never make mistakes. Of course they're going to make mistakes. They're fourth liners. But if you've been watching this team as of late and think to yourself, well, analytically, this fourth line has been a disaster, go fuck yourself. Honestly. I don't understand. Do you have eyes? Do you watch? Do you see? I actually like our fourth line. Now, I will admit, when AV against Dallas puts them out there in some situations after a goal, yeah, I thought AV made some mistakes by putting the fourth line. A few nights ago, I didn't mind it because they were your best line that night, and I'm not telling you in Dallas there were some great lines. They're really, it was a dud. You came out flat. You beat Carolina, you lost to Dallas. I think that's what triggered people. You beat the good team and you stole one, and then you lost to Dallas, who wasn't having a ton of success to that point. But if it was the other way around where they lost to Carolina and they beat Dallas, people would be satisfied because, well, they lost to the team they were supposed to, and they beat the team they were supposed to. But at the end of the day, you went 1-on-1 in a back-to-back. What the hell is the difference? You beat a great team. They have some really impressive wins on the road against some really strong opponents. Washington, they beat them a few Saturdays ago. Carolina, they have some good road wins. That West Coast trip. So I just find it funny how, you went 1-on-1 in a back-to-back. Like, calm down. The reaction to it is just so damn aggressive. They're hanging with some really strong teams. Do they have clunkers? Absolutely. It's the NHL regular season. And to just act as if the whole 3 games in 4 nights and 3 different like that doesn't matter. That's a joke. You're a buffoon if that's the case. So anyway, Ristolainen, as of late, he's really turned it around. And he showed that, look, he's got something in the tank. He could play, and that physicality is a strong part of this. Because let's be realistic. This team in Calgary, they could play tough. They could bring that edge. And I don't know if in years past they necessarily had the counter to that. They do now. Even Joel Farabee taking a couple shots after the whistle. Now, there was one sequence where I'm like, oh, Joel, hold back just a bit. Because if I'm a referee, it was toying with the lineup. Hey, maybe I could have called you for getting that extra jab in late. You got to know and respect the timing there, and it would have been a dreadful penalty to take. It's kind of sad that I'm thinking I'd rather take a penalty than get a penalty. Oh, that's sickening. Not really, obviously. I'm being a douche. But you get my point. At the end of that third, before we get to the Anytime Hotline real quick, oh my God, at the end of that third period, who was wide open? It was Scott Lawton and Ivan Provorov, both with grade A chances. It looked like Scott Lawton in the slot maybe got slashed. He wasn't able to get his shot off to the fullest. And then Provorov was wide open in the slot, but a big save as well. And then some shoving continues. Joel Farabee breakaway with 40 seconds left. He tried to put the puck around the defenseman and then beat him wide with his speed. I didn't love it. I probably would have liked to see him just utilize his body and protect the puck and try and use his speed just to beat him wide with the puck still on your stick instead of trying to chip it past and then beat. It was just a little bit too fancy. You got to know time and the clock and recognize it, and let's get some shots on net. If 40 seconds left, you got to pepper a shot on net there. You can't try that move. I just didn't love it. And then, of course, I mentioned G's right after that, which was just second. Come on, G, you're better than that, man. You're a smart player. Why? Why did you try and make that pass? The shot was right there. It was right there. So we'll get to the Anytime Hotline in just one moment. First, let me tell you about DeSimone Jewelers. They are my jeweler, okay? I got my engagement ring for my fiance there, and it was the best experience I've ever had. They treat you like family. They are a legitimate family. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they are fantastic. They work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They're family-owned, located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They were previously in Jewelers Row. They can provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisal, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond setting, and jewelry cleaning. I go to them for every single holiday. I went for my fiance's birthday. I went for Valentine's Day. I went for the engagement ring, as I alluded to. Christmas, you name it. They are the best in the business. They sit with you. They explain to you the differences in the color and the differences in everything that they can provide for you with the diamonds, and they show you with the magnifying glass, and they bring you outside, and they show you the difference of every little detail in that diamond. It was honestly mind-blowing, but they are great. They treat you like family. You're not just a customer. You're not just some person. So make sure you check them out and say Brode sent you. Their information is down below in the description. Okay, let's flock on over to the Anytime Hotline to hear from you after this game. Here we go.
Now, did you see Johnny Hockey in overtime trying to impress his good friend Hunter Brody? Over stick handling, overpassing, leads to the Flyers' game-winning goal. Thank you, Johnny Gaudreau. A solid win for the Flyers. I mean, that team is tough to play against. It was a physical game the whole way through, and you knew if it went to a shootout, they had no chance. That goaltender's like 7'4" and gives you no net to shoot at. So a good win for the Flyers and a great moment for Kevin Hayes. I'm glad he was able to overcome the injury. It looks like Lindblom will be back in the lineup because Patrick Brown is now out. The injuries continue to accumulate. But a big win for the Flyers. Good way to start the homestand.
No, you're absolutely right. That's a great point on the Oscar Lindblom thing. Obviously, we did know that Patrick Brown left the game, but yeah, you're right for sure. And it's funny, like this whole Nicolas Aube-Kubel thing. And all these fans are like, I can't believe they let him go. This and that. I'm just shocked. Like, what? I'm not losing sleep over Nicolas Aube-Kubel. And how damn crazy is this that he ended up being on the power play? At least that was the discussions for the Colorado Avalanche. This guy goes from waivers to the Avalanche's #1 power play. I want to look up right now while we're on the air to see how that all played out and what his stats were like. Now, what did I say again? Who are they playing? Oh, are they not playing tonight? Oh, maybe they play tomorrow. Yeah, that's what it is. They play tomorrow in Vancouver, so that wasn't even for tonight's game. So I digress. Never mind. I wanted to see how he did. But yeah, he might be back in. But if he's on the fourth line, I don't know if I necessarily love it, to be fair. We'll see what AV ends up doing. There are some times where he makes questionable decisions with changing up the lines and mixing some things up. I know some don't like JVR in the first line, saying that doesn't really suit that best. And Travis Konechny, where he's playing right now, people don't love it. But I do agree with when things weren't working the way that they were, to keep it the same and just running into a brick wall nonstop isn't fair either. So to try something new is not outrageous, and it's not the dumbest concept in the world. Sometimes they're questionable moves, don't get me wrong, but I also understand why you would try, because, well, we were demanding. Well, why aren't we scoring? We need to score. You got to get more scoring. Well, what do coaches do in that situation? They try something fresh, and they try and create some sort of momentum between three guys by just trying new sets of three, and we'll see what that means as they play on Thursday night against Tampa Bay at home at the Wells Fargo Center. But hey, you talk about Markstrom. Hey, don't you downplay what Carter Hart is doing right now. I don't trust the Flyers scorers, though, or should I say Flyers players. You know, there are so I guess. Well, come on, bro, shut up. Cam Atkinson scored tonight. He's a goal scorer. G's been lighting the lamp this year a little bit. He can put the puck in the net. You get my point. It's a great win, and I love the fact that you bring up the toughness aspect, because I thought that really stood out to me. There's been so many times that teams in the Philadelphia Flyers uniform as of late would just get beat down, and physically they wouldn't be able to hang, and after the whistle there'd be no shoving back and forth, and they would just accept it, so the other team would seriously dictate the pace and dictate the physicality. Now they have a bit of a response, and it goes through a lot of guys. Like Sanheim's soft, there's no doubt about it, but you play with Ristolainen, and he brings that edge. JVR, I couldn't believe it. In what universe is JVR going with Coleman to say, hey, let's go. Let's drop him. I mean, that's new. That's rare. That's sort of a culture that is built. Guys like Nate Thompson are very willing to be an aggressor. And when you have multiple guys that do it, it really does kind of maneuver through. Like Joel Farabee, I wouldn't label as tough, but he's willing to get messy and chippy after the whistle and throw a couple smelly gloves in your face. And over time, that gets annoying. It bothers you. And guys like Matthew Tkachuk, players who are acceptable, they accept that, and they're willing to play that style as well. If you can counter that and you can match it, well, it's different. Compared to if Matthew Tkachuk knows that, come on, this clown, this softy, this soft-ass team, no, it isn't that way. We're not soft. And I mentioned that early in the season when they were winning some hockey games early. There's something different about the swagger of the team. That's the word that I utilized, because that's what they had. They stood up for one another. Claude Giroux's getting hit after the whistle a bit. Fuck you. Let's go. Drop him, puss. Whew, what is going on with me right now? I'm fired up, baby. Here in that atmosphere at the Wells Fargo Center when Cam Atkinson put in the far pad play after Couttsy looks perfectly right off that pad, shot for a rebound the whole way through. See, that's why you don't try to maintain. And look, it's a 2-on-1. If you make the pass, it's not the most ridiculous thing in the world. But that's what I was telling you before, where sometimes you try too hard to force passes through seams, like I saw in this game, where if you throw it on net, you never know what can happen. Now, this was a little bit different of a circumstance, to be fair, because it's a 2-on-1. I'd never be upset on an odd man rush there on a 2-on-1 if you try and dish it over. That's fair. But still, I mean, there were times throughout where it wasn't the best idea. And my point is, you throw it on net, you just never know that you can get some puck luck, and rebound control could be weak, and then boom, it's in the back of the net. So what's next?
Let's go. Flyers win in overtime over the Flames, 2-1. Cam Atkinson with the game-winning goal. Get him revenge on Johnny G and the Calgary Flames. Flyers are looking great this year, and I think we got a shot at the cup. Hashtag Brant the Braum. Let's go Flyers.
Let's go. We're going cup, baby. Here, let's not downplay what Cam Atkinson did tonight. That bingo was huge. Been a little bit of a skid. We know Joel Farabee was going through a bit of a skid as well, and he was upset with himself. There's something to be said when goal scorers start off hot, or they go through a nice stretch where they're actually scoring, and then there's some downtime, and there's some awkward time, and then you start holding the stick too tightly. It only takes one for another 3, 4, 5 game sample size to get going where maybe they turn the page again and things are clicking and they're finding themselves. So, let's see how Cam Atkinson builds off of finding the net in such a big way. So you could see his reaction. You could tell how massive that was for him. Sort of like the monkey off the back. It's been a bit ugly. Hey, I found the net again. When you're a goal scorer and that's what you're brought in to do and you're not doing it. See, it's different if you're not supposed to score. If you're a role player who's just out there and your job is to not get scored on, or your job is to play make. Yeah, obviously there's stress to get assists, but when you're a goal scorer and you're not scoring, there's just a different level of pressure that gets added by each minute, each shift where you're not finding the net, and then especially after each game where you're not finding twine, it really does snowball on you. Not that I know, trust me, I was never in a position where I had all this pressure to score a bunch of goals. If that was the case, oh man, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. But my role was simple because, it wasn't simple. It was difficult. I blocked shots and it was hard, but it was heavy on the body. It was toxic on the body. But, it's a lot different when my job is to chip pucks off the glass and kill penalties. Yeah, compared to scoring. Cam Atkinson scored. Anyway, one last call here.
Hey, I know we got a new song now, but I don't care. Feel the shake.
Oh, you're going feel the shake on us. I don't have an emotional connection, to be honest with you, with this year's goal song or anything of that nature. Last year, I kind of mocked the feel the shake, but at least it was mock-worthy, entertaining-ish, right? Like, you could get away with mentioning feel the shake. I don't even think this goal song gives you that energy to kind of even bring it up, right? Like, I don't even think it's something that is worthy of discussion. Where feel the shake, you could be a jerk off and go, feel the shake, right? Like, you can't even do that with this. So, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. Does that mean anything? No. Does it mean we're going to win the Stanley Cup? Maybe. Do I think this team can compete at a high level? Yes. So, my point of after this game and after what happened in Dallas and all this, relax. Relax when you have a stinker. Relax when you struggle a little bit to score. Like, just relax, because at the end of this day, I truly believe that this team can hang with the best teams in the league and put up a good fight. They're a strong team. This Ryan Ellis thing is very disappointing, though, and something to monitor. Can Justin Braun keep up this level of play over 82 games? I don't know. I'm surprised he's played this well for this long, so maybe. Maybe it's just Justin Braun acknowledging I'm a veteran. I have a ton of experience. This team needs me. I'm here for that. And if you think about how much they gave up the trade for him, the second and the third, I thought it was a disaster because before Matt Niskanen here, I didn't even anticipate bringing him back, but then you kind of had to by default. And he's really accepted that role, and he's been more than just accepting that role to have to step in. He's been significant to the success of this team. How long can it last? I don't know, but I do feel that this team is a strong team if those type of things happen, if he stays this way and Provorov and him build this chemistry and stay on top of it, which, maybe it is possible. I think this team is strong. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Broads, and I will see you next time.